Explore West Virginia like never before. Mysteries of the Mountain State. Paranormal West Virginia uncovers haunted histories, cryptid sightings, ghostly encounters, and unexplained phenomena across the Mountain State. From the Greenbrier Ghost to the Seneca Rocks Phantom, each episode brings true stories, eyewitness accounts, and historical context to life. Whether you're fascinated by paranormal investigations, cryptids, UFOs, or haunted locations, this podcast delivers spine-chilling mysteries backed by research. Discover the legends, the evidence, and the eerie experiences that have shaped West Virginia's paranormal reputation. Listen if you dare, and join a community of explorers who seek the unexplained in the hills, forests, and hollows of the Mountain State. Tonight, we begin our journey into the uncanny history of the Mountain State. West Virginia is a place where deep hollows hold older stories, where the woods absorb secrets, and where the sky has delivered mysteries that defy every explanation. Our first case is one of the most documented encounters in American UFO history, and one of the most visceral. This is the story of the Flatwoods monster of Braxton County. It was the evening of September 12th, 1952. The sun had slipped behind the ridgeline, and the small town of Flatwoods settled into a quiet Friday night rhythm. The air held a crisp, early autumn chill. Football games wrapped up. Porch lights blinked on. The mountain stood dark and unmoving under a sky scattered with stars. Then, at approximately 7:15 p.m., people across West Virginia and parts of Pennsylvania and Maryland reported seeing a bright, fiery object streak overhead. Witnesses described a pulsing red sphere trailing green arcs of light. Some said it looked like a meteor breaking apart. Others insisted it moved far too deliberately. For a group of 6 boys playing on a school field in Flatwoods, this object did not stay in the sky. It appeared to land on a nearby hilltop. Those boys were named Edward and Fred May, their friend Tommy Heyer, and 3 others from the neighborhood. What they saw drop behind a tall line of trees sent them running to the home of Kathleen May, mother of 2 of the boys. The group insisted something had come down on the hill at the Bailey Fisher property. Kathleen, described in local reports as level-headed and practical, gathered a flashlight. She was joined by National Guardsman Eugene Lemon and Lemon's dog. Together, the group climbed the path toward the landing site. What happened next is one of the most vivid and alarming close encounter reports ever recorded. As the group reached the crest of the hill, they noticed a thick mist hanging in the air. Several witnesses said it burned their eyes and noses. Newspaper accounts later described it as a hot metallic odor mixed with what one boy compared to burnt sulfur. Ahead of them sat a large, pulsing, red orb about the size of a small shed. Some described it as mechanical. Others believed it was a landed craft. No one got close enough to determine its exact form. Then came the moment that defined this case. Eugene Lemon's flashlight beam swept across a pair of bright, unblinking eyes reflected in the mist. As he raised the beam higher, the entire figure came into view. Witnesses described a towering entity, roughly 10 feet tall, with a face shaped like the hood of an ace of spades. Its eyes glowed an intense, piercing orange. The head appeared to sit atop a dark body that tapered downward, almost like a skirt or metal casing. Kathleen May described the body as dark green with folds that looked almost armored. Several said the being gave the impression of floating rather than walking. Lemon later stated that the creature emitted an eerie mechanical hiss and then glided toward the group. At that moment, the flashlight flickered. The dog bolted down the hill. The witnesses turned and ran. Several were so frightened they collapsed before reaching the bottom. The authorities were contacted within the hour. Sheriff Robert Carr and Deputy Lee Stewart arrived and found the same burnt odor still hanging over the site. A local reporter, A. Lee Stewart Jr., searched the area with them, but found nothing except skid-like impressions in the grass and a lingering mist. Stewart published a detailed account in the Braxton Democrat that spread far beyond the county. National reporters soon arrived. The story appeared in newspapers across the country. It even caught the attention of the U.S. Air Force and was included in Project Blue bookcase files. Multiple unrelated witnesses across West Virginia confirmed seeing a bright aerial object that same evening. Most described the same trajectory, passing over several towns before descending near Flatwoods. Several children suffered nausea for days after the encounter. One boy reportedly vomited multiple times that night. A doctor attributed this to exposure to something irritating in the field. As with many paranormal cases, explanations fall into two categories: skeptical and extraordinary. Skeptics argue that the lights in the sky were a meteor and the creature was a misidentified barn owl perched on a branch above a bush. The burning mist was explained as panic-induced hyperventilation combined with the smell of vegetation crushed by the search party. However, these explanations do not convincingly align with witness testimony. The height, the glowing eyes, the mechanical sound, and the floating motion do not match any known animal. Kathleen May gave several recorded interviews in which she described a mechanical structure on the lower body and metallic plating on the torso. On the other hand, supporters argue the group encountered an extraterrestrial being or a robotic probe deployed from the glowing craft. The burn-like fumes, the pulsating sphere, and the blast of heat described by witnesses line up with other UFO landing accounts from the early 1950s wave. Project Blue Book officially labeled the case insufficient data. The Flatwoods monster quickly became part of West Virginia's identity. The town kept the story alive through community retellings, a museum, and an annual festival. The creature's image appears on signs, postcards, even playground sculptures. Unlike Mothman, the Flatwoods monster's legacy remains more localized, but its symbolism endures, a reminder that the quiet mountains can deliver moments of absolute strangeness. The original witnesses maintain the truth of their account for the rest of their lives. More than 70 years later, the details remain consistent. A fiery object descended over the hills, and a group of locals encountered something that defied ordinary explanation. In our next episode, we move from Flatwoods to Point Pleasant, where another figure with glowing eyes shaped the mythology of an entire region. This is Mysteries of the Mountain State. Tune in to episode 2 to find out about the Silver Bridge and the Point Pleasant phenomena. If you love this episode, like, follow, and share with your friends.